need more time for that. It's the Q Warrior here, and hope you all doing fine. Today I'll be showing you the absolute endgame build for the Wolf for Path of Exile 2. As we all know, the Wolf is really popular, especially because of its high DPS and its mobility, and that is also one of the reasons why I've preferred the Wolf over the Bear. So without further ado, let's quickly hop on to the build. Starting off with my gear as usual. Last time I showed you a very cheap build, like a build for 2 Divines. This time, it's gonna be different, alright? This time, it's not a cheap build anymore. This talisman right here cost me around 75 Divines. So you can understand how expensive this build is gonna be. Also, this build is not complete yet. I'm still building on it. This is just, let's say, a trailer to what this build can do. Okay? So, the main focus is on +5 to melee skills. Don't go beyond that. You'll be running out of mana. Make sure that you have 25% chance to gain onslaught on kill. This is really gonna help you a lot as it gives you a boost to your attack damage, your movement speed and everything. Also make sure that you have damage as extra physical damage. My attack speed on this is 1.4, which is why I get a pretty high DPS on this one. Okay. Next up, my rings focus mainly on attack and resistance. Right, you can go ahead, check this out. This is very important. It helps you build up more spirit, more defense, and also you get more health. Alright, to get one of these, if you have divines, go for it. This build is for people who have actually spent money in the game or have grinded enough to go ahead and get this kind of items. The next up is my helmet, and I have a pure armor helmet. As you can see, it's corrupted, so I couldn't go ahead and increase the armor rating. It's gonna cost me a lot of strength, which I don't have at the moment, but I would probably go ahead and buy a different helmet later on. So this is what I have at the moment. Make sure you have chaos resistance on your items, like on your rings and stuff. This one's the other ring that I'm using. Again, damage and resistance. Make sure that you have a stellar amulet for chaos resistance and your global defenses and all your resistances combined, right? This really helps you a lot. For the boots, I have one with 25% movement speed. It gives me energy shield, armor, regenerates a little bit of my life, but doesn't really matter because 10 HP is absolutely nothing. A little bit of fire resistance, and not the best boot out there. And lastly, it is the bad boy Headhunter, which is actually a game changer. All right, Headhunter is a game changer, no doubt about it. You use it, you wouldn't know until you use it. This helps you finish mobs in a blink of an eye. All right, next up I have my skills over here. So as you can see, I have Shred. I'm gonna go ahead and show you all my support gems and everything, so you can go ahead and pause the video and see what I'm using. Have Cross Slash here, Lunar Assault, have Pounce, I have Thunderstorm for shocking. I have Eternal Rage. This boosts up my damage all the time because it's always giving me rage. Herald of Ice, obviously. Lunar Blessing. Right. So these are the skills that I'm using. I'm going to explain to you why I have Elemental, Armament 3 over here. The reason is I'm going to use all 3 elements. Like I'm going to use Fire, I'm going to use Shock, and I'm going to use Freeze. Alright, Freeze you obviously know is Lunar Assault. For Shock, I have Thunderstorm, and I have this Shocking Leap skill gem over here, which helps me create shock grounds that in turn helps me shock enemies. Alright, so this is how I shock. Next up, I have a little bit of fire damage on my ring to help me burn. This is basically for the bosses. Alright, So yeah, that's how I go ahead and add up my damage. Let's quickly head over to the passive tree. As you can see, I have the Oracle Ascendancy, all the nodes from outside, and most important node, obviously this one, inevitable critical hits. All of your hits are mostly critical, so you don't have to go ahead and separately use passives for critical chance. All right, all you have to do is just boost critical damage. So this is my passive tree. Let me quickly go ahead and explain this to you. Start off from here, get all these nodes here. All right, get some attack damage and attack speed here. I will probably go ahead and refund these ones for more damage later on, but this is the one that I'm using at the moment. And you can go ahead, get some over here, and then head over to this area right here. Make sure that you have all this Warcry nodes, and then we have some critical damage here. Make sure that you have this one, all right, the From Nothing Diamond. It helps you allocate passives within an area even if you do not have the nodes connected. All right, so you have to buy this one, passives in the radius of blood magic, because blood magic is the keystone right here. So you have to get it around this keystone, right? This is gonna cost like 10 divines. You're gonna have this one for increased armor. You're gonna have this one for armor that is applied to elemental damage. You're gonna have this one for rage, more rage. The more rage, the better. Okay. Then you head over to this side right here, get all these nodes. Also make sure that you have this one right here, strikes deal splash damage, very important for mobbing. Then you have this one for armor. Okay. Next up, we have this node right here for damage against immobilized enemies. Freezing is immobilization, so you have to go ahead and get this one as well. And then we go up over here and we get this node. Now, we are not using totems, but why are we doing this? Just so we can go ahead and get these nodes, all right? Just for these nodes, okay? These ones right here. Now you head over to this side right here, use a jewel. This is the one that I'm using for critical damage, elemental damage, damage penetrates, cold resistance, and 9% increased duration of damaging ailments on enemies. All right, this helps me freeze enemies longer. Next up, you go ahead over to this side. I'm gonna get this later on, get some energy shield over here, and make sure that you have this. All right, this one right here. It helps you increase a lot of damage. Okay, you can always go around here, get some mana regeneration. You can get more energy shield from this build as well. Just have to go ahead, and search for energy shield or whatever you want over here, right? And you will be able to go ahead and make your own builds according to your own playstyle, right? So this is what I have currently. Not much for survivability, but my attack is really nice, and I could go ahead and do fully juiced T15 maps, right, with no problem at all, right? You just one shot everything. Okay, so yeah, so this is the build. This is not the final build. I will be working more on this build, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Do leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next one.